You think pirate life was cool. Swords, gold, freedom on the open sea. Let's ruin that for you. Here's what it actually looked like. And spoiler, you don't survive it with your dignity or most of your fingers. You're born in a cramped alley in the late 1500s, somewhere the fish never quite stop smelling dead. You barely know your mother. Your father drowned chasing a handful of sardines off a boat that was falling apart before he even bought it. Great start, very promising. The sea isn't beautiful to you. It's not a postcard. It's the thing that eats fathers. And occasionally, if it's in a generous mood, feeds sons. By age 11, you have no trade, no papers, nothing but a decent set of lungs and low expectations. You watch the big trade ships glide by. White sails, silk, spices, silver from some continent you'll never see the name of spelled correctly. You look at the men on deck and think, those guys run the world. You decide you'll be one of them. Congratulations. That dream comes true faster than you'd like. The price though? Your 12-year-old brain has no idea what it's about to sign up for. This is the part where we'd normally say, don't try this at home, except home is also kind of the problem. At 13, you step onto your first ship, not a merchant vessel, a fast little raiding galley, black oak hull, oars groaning under 70 men who all look like they've personally lost an argument with the ocean. You don't get a sword. You don't get a pistol. You get a rusty flint and a filthy rag. Your job, scrub vomit off the deck and bail out water that smells like it has opinions. You're the smallest link in a very unpleasant chain, and nobody's training you gently. You learn fast because the sea doesn't do second chances. Lesson 1, the sun here isn't your friend. It's an oven that cracks your skin until it bleeds. Lesson 2, fresh water is worth more than gold. Rationed by the bottle cap. Steal an extra sip at night and they won't kill you. They'll give you 25 lashes with a rope soaked in salt water, then leave you in the sun so you can properly appreciate what thirst actually feels like. 10 out of 10 management style. Would not recommend to HR. The years pass. You're 17 now. The skinny kid is gone. Your arms are rope from years of hauling actual rope. You catch your reflection in a cracked mirror in the captain's cabin and barely recognize yourself. There's a scar running from your ear to your jaw, courtesy of a snapped mast line during a storm that tried very hard to end your career early. Then one morning, the lookout screams from the mast, "Sail on the horizon!" Your heart starts going like a war drum. This is your first real fight. And let's be clear, it is nothing like the stories. No cape-wearing heroes defending honor, just 60-something hungry men, wine slapping their faces raw, and the smell of gunpowder making you dizzy before a single shot's fired. The target ship is coming out of a Spanish port. A fat merchant hauler with 35 soldiers and 22 cannons aboard. Your captain's screaming orders. Arms lock onto the oars. You're doing 8 knots. Water's slamming the hull like it's trying to get in on the fight too. You're standing in the front line, holding a chipped dagger and a busted firelock. 40 meters. The longest 40 meters of your entire life. The first cannon fires and rips the silence apart. It's not a sound. It's a wall of air that punches your chest and makes you breathe smoke. Iron shot screams past your ear. And here's the part nobody tells you. The cannonballs aren't even the main threat. It's the wood. Splinters flying off the hull turn into flying blades. A guy standing half a meter from you just drops. No blood yet. Just a crater in his chest and a very confused look on his face. You don't stop. Stopping means dying. Grappling hooks fly. Ropes tangle. The two ships crash together with a sound like whale bones snapping. You jump onto the enemy deck. Blood's already pooling on the wood, turning it into an ice rink. You slip. You get back up. Because your mother's prayers for your safety expired about 2 hours ago, and there's fighting to do. Your vision goes red. You're stabbing and swinging. Not out of bravery. Out of math. If the guy in front of you is still breathing in 2 seconds, you won't be. Screaming everywhere. Curses in every language the Mediterranean has to offer. Spanish, Italian, Arabic, Latin, all at once. None of it polite. The fight drags on for half an hour that feels like half a decade. Finally, the enemy captain goes down. The white flag goes up. You sit on a blood-slick crate, hands shaking so hard you can't hold a water cup without dropping it. You look around. Of the 60-something men who went in with you, 22 are dead, 11 are bleeding out on the deck. Congratulations, you won. Here's your loot. 40 barrels of olive oil, 6 sacks of silver, 25 prisoners. Somewhere, an HR department is filing this under unconventional signing bonus. When it's time to split the spoils, your cut is 3 silver coins and a pair of leather boots made somewhere in Venice. You put them on. They're a size too small. You laugh out loud at the sheer joke of it. You risked your life and your body for boots that don't even fit, and 3 coins that'll buy you 1 bad drink at the next port. Before we keep going, smash that like button and subscribe so we can keep dragging you through more historical nightmares like this one. Now, back to dying slowly at sea. You're a seasoned pirate now. The ship is home. The ocean is your very large, very wet prison. And here's the truth nobody puts in the recruitment poster. Pirates don't spend their time fighting. They spend about 90% of their existence bored out of their minds, slowly falling apart. Turns out a life of adventure is mostly just waiting. The days blur together. Blazing sun, dead calm, 0 wind. The ship sits motionless for 7 straight days. The food rots. The hardtack biscuits are basically Weevil apartments at this point. You learn to break them open in the dark, so you don't have to watch the larvae move. The water in the barrels grows a slimy green film and smells like a swamp that gave up on life. Drink it, you get dysentery. Don't drink it, you die of thirst. You pick dysentery. Every time. Living the dream. At night, you sit with your best friend on deck. His name's Dario, a runaway from a mandatory naval draft back home, now a pirate just like you. He asks quietly, "How much gold have you actually saved up?" You tell him, 18 coins. He shakes his head and laughs bitterly. 18 coins? He shakes his head and laughs bitterly. 18 coins! You lost 2 fingers off your left hand for 18 coins. I've saved 30, and I'm retiring next summer, buying an olive farm back home, settling down, getting married. You look him in the eyes, and you already know he's lying to himself. Nobody retires from this life. The sea reels you in, then ties you to its ropes until you rot right where you stand. The next year, the sickness arrives. Plague moves into your ship, and this time, it's not a fight. It's an enemy you can't see and can't stab. Men start burning with fever. Black swellings rise under their arms and along their necks. Within 3 days, the ship turns into a floating graveyard. 9 men dying every morning. And you don't bury them. You just grab their ankles and drop them to the fish. Dario, your friend who dreamed of the olive farm, catches it on the 4th day. You sit next to him. His face is soaked in sweat, his skin cooking from the inside. He grabs your hand and says, "Don't let them throw me overboard while I'm still breathing." You tell him they won't. That night, his breathing stops. You take his sack of 30 coins, put it in your pocket, and push him into the dark water with the rest. You don't cry. You forgot how a long time ago. Tears need water, and your body's too valuable to waste a single drop of it on grief. But here's the real tragedy. It's not dying. The real tragedy is looking up one morning and seeing the Spanish royal fleet on the horizon. One October morning, 3 massive Spanish galleons box you in. Your little ship has 0 chance of running. The air is dead calm. Their cannons have longer range and hit twice as hard. Cannonballs rain down like weather. The masts start collapsing. The main mast snaps clean in half and crushes 8 men underneath it on the way down. Smoke blacks out the sun. A cannon goes off right next to you and your right ear just stops working. Nothing left but a high constant ringing. Your ship goes down. Spanish soldiers climb aboard. This time you're not the winner. You're the only survivor from your bench. Congratulations, you didn't die, though dying would have been 1,000 times kinder. They chain you up with the other prisoners. The iron cuts into your wrists until it hits bone. They march you onto a royal galley where the court sentences you to the oars for the rest of your life. You sit on bare wood, you and 2 other men, all 3 chained to a single oar 14 meters long. Someone's back in front of you, someone else's back behind you. 9 months and you never leave that bench. You eat there, sleep there, do everything else there too. The smell below deck goes past anything a person should have to survive. Sweat, rot, waste, and the slow decay of the ship itself all mixed into one. The guard keeping rhythm carries a whip. Get tired, let your arm slack for even a second, and it lands across your back to remind you you're not a person anymore. You're just an engine made of meat. Your back fills up with ugly scars that reopen every time salt water touches them. The years crawl by again. 7 of them. Your hand doesn't look human anymore. It's turned into a claw, wrapped in layers of dead skin hard as stone. Most of your teeth have rotted out from scurvy. Your hair's gone. Your skin's gone pale white, because the only sunlight you get is once every 4 months when they drag you up to scrub the deck. Your mind starts slipping. On quiet nights, when the ship rests in port, you start hearing things. Your father's voice calling you from the sea. Dario, laughing about that olive farm he never got. Your mother, baking bread in the old alley you grew up in. You talk to the silent wooden wall next to you and ask yourself whether you're actually alive or whether you already died. And this is what hell looks like. Nobody answers. Silence is the only reply you ever get. Then, on a day that looks exactly like every other day, a violent storm rolls in near the coast of Sicily. Waves the size of buildings slam into the galley. The hull splits open, water pouring in fast. The guards abandon ship, running for the lifeboats and leaving you and everyone else chained to the benches. The water hits your knees, then your chest. Men around you scream, beg, call out to every god and saint they can think of. You don't scream, you just watch the salt water climb toward your chin. You dig through your filthy pocket and find a small, worn silver coin. The last one you stole off Dario years ago. You hold it in your torn hand and let out one quiet, exhausted laugh. The water reaches your mouth. You close your eyes, and for the first time in 20 years, you feel something like peace. The cold stops bothering you. The pain in your back disappears. The sea that took everything from you finally comes to collect the last thing it hadn't taken. You probably think the pirate story is the one from the movies. Freedom, adventure, courage, swords, catching the sunlight. You probably think sailing the Mediterranean was an escape from poverty and every rule society ever put on you. A straight shot to gold and glory. But the real version, the one whispered by the thousands of men still sitting at the bottom of that sea, is nothing like that. A pirate was never free. He was a slave to his own greed, a slave to his own fear, a slave to a small ship surrounded on every side by water that wanted to kill him. He ran from the darkness on land, straight into the darkness of the sea, and sold his body, his mind, and his ending for a handful of coins he never lived long enough to spend. Freedom was never about outrunning the law, or carrying a sword, or having power over other people. Real freedom is being able to walk back through your own front door at the end of the day, sleep in a dry bed, eat soft bread, and wake up without checking your wrists to see if the chains are still there. The ones chasing total, unlimited adventure at the cost of peace usually figure it out way too late. That peace was the only treasure ever worth fighting for.